Hello, guys. Here is another reaction video, and today I am reacting to the political situation in Rivers State. Before I go on, I'd like to say thank you to and everyone who is subscribed to the channel for liking the videos, for dropping your comments. For those of you who have been sharing, thank you as well. If you are yet to subscribe, please do that now. Okay, now let's get into the details. What is new in Rivers State? So, Rivers State officially now has a new administrator. Yes, I did not say governor, I said administrator. The reason for this is because just yesterday in a broadcast, President Bola Tinubu made an announcement declaring a state of emergency in Rivers State. And the reason he gave was that political situation in Rivers State could degenerate into something that could lead to some form of violence that would distort the peace and economy of the state, hence the reason for the state of emergency. The big question now is, who is this sole administrator that has been sworn in already by the president? And that's why I'm here for you. So, he is a retired naval officer. All right. His name is Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, retired. Now, a few things you should know about this guy. Before retiring, he was Vice Admiral and former Chief of Naval Staff. He held that position from 2015 to 2021. He's, of course, from Cross River State, Nigeria. Um, he attended several military courses at home and abroad. He holds a master's degree in defense and strategic studies from the Quaid-e-Azam University, Islamabad, Pakistan. I hope I got the name of that university correctly. He was a midshipman on board NNS Rowan Yaro, NNS Obuma, and NNS Aradu, and served as executive officer of NNS Siri, NNS Echo, and NSS Ambe. You see, the accolades are enormous, plenty of them. He's also married with beautiful kids, three of them. Anyways, from everything you look at here, when you go through his profile, you would say this guy's a fantastic guy. But why are people in River State still worried about his appointment? And I'll tell you why. It is because in 2015, this young man was seen with then Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, who is now the FCT minister. Oh, yes. It was in August 2015. At the time, the Vice Admiral had visited the state and paid a courtesy visit to the government house, all right, where he met with the governor at the time, Nyesom Wike, who had promised to support the Navy and do all he can to ensure that the waters of River State are safe at the time he was governor. And after that time, there are several pictures online of them bodying up and looking very cool with each other. So you can imagine that after what's happening in River State, the sole administrator is appointed and it be someone that has a relationship or a tie with Nyesom Wike. You already know that many people would not accept it, and that is the situation right now. People are skeptical, people are raising eyebrows. Beyond that, there are those that have also been questioning the way and method in which the president declared the state of emergency. The many questions, one of which includes, does Rivers State have any situation now that warrants a state of emergency? That's a very big question. And to answer it, we have to go to the Constitution. So let me take you there. Quickly, look at Section 305 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended. In that particular section, it analyzes what requires for a state of emergency and how to go about declaring a state of emergency. So let me start with what we have here. 305 subsection 1, it says, subject to the provisions of this constitution, the president may, by instrument published in the official gazette of the government of the federation, issue a proclamation of a state of emergency in the federation or any part thereof. You can issue the proclamation, but it doesn't stop there. Because subsection 2 says the president shall, immediately after the publication, transmit copies of the official gazette of the government of the federation containing the proclamation, including details of the emergency, to the president of the Senate and Speaker of the House of Representatives, each of whom shall forthwith convene or arrange for a meeting of a house of which he is president or speaker, as the case may be, to consider the situation and decide whether or not to pass a resolution approving the proclamation. So technically, the president, Tinubu, is supposed to make that proclamation, and then the House will sit over it and agree. If the House already is sitting, In 2 days at most, they should have been able to resolve this. If they were already on recess, maybe they were in sitting, 10 days is what was given constitutionally. The big question people are asking, why didn't the president go through this process? Why the speed? Why the hurry? But that aside, what could lead a president to say, let's declare a state of emergency? The provisions of that is also in the Constitution. Same section 305. If you go to subsection 3, it says the president shall have power to issue a proclamation of a state of emergency only when, number one, the federation is at war. Number two, the federation is in imminent danger of invasion or involvement in a state of war. Number three, there is actual breakdown of public order and public safety in the federation or any part thereof to such extent as to require extraordinary measures to restore peace and security. Number four, there is a clear and present danger of an actual breakdown of public order and public safety in the federation or any part thereof, requiring extraordinary measures to avert such danger. Number five, there is an occurrence or imminent danger or the occurrence of any disaster or natural calamity affecting the community or a section of the community in the federation. It went on to say, number six, there is any other public danger which clearly constitutes a threat to the existence of the federation. Or, number seven, the president receives a request to do so in accordance with the provisions of subsection 4 of this section. Well, if you go to number 4 of this section 305, it now says the governor of a state may, with sanction of a resolution supported by 2/3 majority of the House of Assembly, request the president to issue a proclamation of a state of emergency in the state where there is in existence within the state any of the situations specified in subsection 3, C, D, and E of this section, and such situation does not extend to beyond the boundaries of the state. The big question is Rivers State currently suffering any of this to warrant the president to issue a state of emergency? That's not all. While issuing the state of emergency, the president then suspended the governor, the deputy, and members of the House of Assembly. Now, constitutionally, there's a problem with that. These officers are also well elected, just like the president. And the argument is you don't have any right to suspend them. All right? You don't have the right to suspend them. It has not happened before. And the Constitution does not give the president the power to suspend an elected governor or members of the House of Assembly because of a state of emergency. I'll leave you to now look at the situation in Rivers State. Was it at a point that required a state of emergency? Were we at war? Was there unrest? Was there any threat to life, property? Were people dying? Was there shooting? There was none of this happening, at least for what my eyes could see as a resident of Rivers State. But regardless, the president felt that the political situation could lead to that, and that was why he declared a state of emergency. All right, now you have declared it. Do you have the power to suspend the governor? Why suspend the governor, the deputy, and the members of the House of Assembly? Why? I would leave that for you to respond to. I don't have the answer. But it goes beyond that. There's even more. I will take your minds back to 2014-15 or 2013-14 when President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan was in charge of this country. At the time, the Boko Haram insurgency was at its peak, and the president had to declare a state of emergency. Now, this video has been trending, and I want us to look at it because in this video, you would find Ruben Abati at the time was an aide on media to the president, and he was talking about this particular situation. At that time, the president now, Bola Tinubu, was in the opposition APC, and this was their position. In fact, particularly President Tinubu's position at that time in 2014 was that President Goodluck Jonathan had no rights to declare a state of emergency and then suspend the governors of those states. That was his position at that time. So if he held that position then, what could have changed now? And yours truly, President Jonathan did not suspend the governors of those states. There were 3 states precisely where he declared a state of emergency because they were most affected by Boko Haram insurgents. Gombe, Adamawa, and I can't remember the third one. There's 3 of them. Borno, Gombe, Adamawa, and Borno states were the 3 states where a state of emergency was declared. Another time we had a state of emergency was during Obasanjo's time, and it was in Plateau State because there was ethnic clash that was leading to the death of many people. State of emergency had to be declared. In the case of Goodluck Jonathan, the governors of those states did not ask the president to declare state of emergency, and the matter was getting out of hand because those terrorist groups were already pinning flags in local government areas and claiming territories. So, state of emergency had to be declared. Anyways, this was that video of Goodluck Jonathan where he was declaring the state of emergency, and the response of Ruben Abati, who was the media aide to the president at that time. This was what Goodluck Jonathan said. This is the response of Ruben Abati. Let's listen to it.
Recent developments in the affected states, it has become necessary for government to take extraordinary measures to restore normalcy. After wide consultations and in exercise of the power conferred on me.
Okay, so it was Bomi, Yobe, and Adamawa, not Gombe.
5, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, I hereby declare a state of emergency in Borno.
All right, so that was it. Now, this is a conversation, an interview that came after that broadcast on Channels Television. It had Chamberlain, who was a host of the show at that time, and Ruben Abati, who now works with Arise TV, but at the time was the media aide to President Jonathan, trying to explain how the state of emergency worked, and the fact that they did not have to suspend governors of those states that were affected by the state of emergency.
Well, thank you for joining us today. Now, some lawyers say Section 305 of the 1999 Constitution was silent on the details of what the president can do. What is the rationale behind leaving the governors in office?
Well, what people must note is that what the president has done is lawful and constitutional. There is no part of the Constitution that gives the president of Nigeria the powers to remove a state governor or political office holders, particularly under the circumstances.
So I think that's basically what I wanted us to hear. No section of the Constitution gives the president the powers to suspend or remove. The word he used was remove a governor. You can't suspend or remove nothing. He didn't give those powers. So the next question would be, why then did the president, Tinubu, suspend the governor, elected governor of Rivers State, and his deputy, and the lawmakers for a state of emergency? Questions have been asked about this, and it is really mind-boggling for a lot of people. Why is the president in a hurry to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State when, clearly, if you look at Rivers State, the situation had nothing to do. In fact, the constitutional provisions for why she declared a state of emergency, none of them had found its footing in Rivers State, not even close. The issue I was on ground was a disagreement between the Assembly and the Executive about the budget presentation. Elections for local government have been set. My next question would be, if we are going ahead with this particular state of emergency, what then happens to the Supreme Court judgment where workers' salaries are being withheld because allocation has been suspended following the judgment? So CBN cannot release money to Rivers State. Will those monies now be released, or are workers not going to get their salaries for the next 6 months? Number one. Number two question would be, what happens to the local government elections? Because the Supreme Court judgment had said we need the local government elections. So who is going to conduct it? And the question would be, the budget that they have been complaining about that they cannot do elections with because it has not been passed. Now that they will conduct election, which assembly will now vet where they got the money that they will use to conduct the election? Question number two. So clearly it looks like other things are at play. And that's what people are saying. Would you blame them? You cannot. This is Nigeria. And the politics of Nigeria from history has shown over time that when things like this happen, there are always interests involved. And even though they come out and give us statements, nobody will ever tell Nigerians the truth.